Tevi. Alright. Show of hands. By show of hands, let me know if you are in a relationship. A lot of people. Alright, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Keep your hands raised only if you are happy in a relationship. We're not being recorded. It's okay. Maybe we are. I'm going to be honest. Not very happy. I was abused. I love my wife. It's not my wife. I was abused by the Israel Tax Authority. They wanted something that I couldn't give them. They kept throwing it in my face. I was never good enough for them. They wanted Internet Explorer on my phone. I was in an unsupportive relationship. I was invited out to go see the Israel National Trails, go hiking. And Yuli, the hiking app I wanted to use, had no offline capabilities at all. So you invited me out here. What's going on? Where are you? I was in a relationship with a poor communicator. I had no idea where this relationship was going. I couldn't get out of it. Couldn't get out of it. The exit was not on the ground floor. It was on 1 and 3. I was in a relationship with a clingy, needy, codependent who didn't know anything. I was also in a relationship with a passive-aggressive, emotional abuser. Wow, give me free access. No thanks, I like struggle. I don't like struggle, you manipulative psychopath. I just don't like spam. UX teaches us all kinds of tricks to manipulate, persuade, influence, control, to get people to do what we want them to do. But you want to be controlling? Is that the relationship that you want? I think we can do more. I don't want that. I want love. Who here uses Envision? A bunch of designers. A lot of hands go, wow. Yeah. Envision is a product that allows designers to create interactive prototypes, collaborate on projects and design work. And Clark, the CEO of Envision, was asked in an interview with NASDAQ, what SaaS metric is really important that people do not pay enough attention to? And Clark said, it's how much your customers love your t-shirts. He said, you go to a conference, you put out a stack of t-shirts, they'll be gone in a second. Everybody loves free stuff. He said he likes to go to conferences and see who's wearing an Envision t-shirt. Who's putting his brand on their back. Anyone here wearing an Envision t-shirt? I don't know if it's easy to get them in Israel. Anyone here wearing Envision? I got the socks. I love Envision. I use it every day. Clark said that early on in the founding of the company, they realized that designers, unlike accountants and lawyers, other professions, designers often identify themselves as designers more so outside of work than in their current regulation. So he tried to put that in the culture of the company from the very beginning, and their t-shirts are beautifully designed, illustrated, and they sell them. People buy them. And customers love Envision. I love it. The question is, can anybody create love? Can you create love for your product? Can you create love between strangers? There was an experiment done about 20 years ago. Arthur Aaron at State University in New York, Stony Brook, wanted to see if you could create love in the lab. He got two strangers, well, he created an experiment where two strangers would sit down and ask each other a series of questions. The questions would be progressively more and more personal, and the participants would be more and more vulnerable. At the end of the questioning, strangers would then stare into each other's eyes for 4 minutes, gazing deeply, without interrupting, without talking. By the end of the study, participants actually said that they felt something, they felt some connection. Maybe it was love. An author for the New York Times wrote an article. She wanted to try this, and she went out with a man, and they tried this experiment. They asked each other a series of questions, and at the end of the evening, they stared into each other's eyes. And she said they felt something, felt a connection, and she ultimately married the man, their husband and wife. She said it wasn't necessarily that this experiment made her fall in love, but she said it paved the way, opened the door to let them connect. And they ultimately chose to commit to the marriage, commit to the relationship, and to stay in love, remain in love. So what is love? What are you feel closer but choose to stay in love? So Dr. Robert Sternberg of Yale University in 1985, he posited the triangular theory of love. Now this romantic came up with this triangle here. There are three components to a relationship, and the ultimate perfect relationship, the consummate love, has all three. And some relationships only have one or two. So at the top we have intimacy, which is how close you feel to another person. There's commitment, which is just doing the work for the relationship. And passion is the superficial layer. So a relationship might have passion and commitment. That might be a whirlwind courtship. People meet, fall in love, they get married right away. They don't really have intimacy. They don't know each other yet. And they might discover things later that ultimately tear us apart. You could have a relationship of intimacy and passion, but without the commitment, it'll fall apart. And if you have commitment and intimacy, you're close with the person, and you're committed to working on the relationship, you might lack the passion. It might be a little stale. So let's talk about each of these individual pieces. Intimacy is the feeling of closeness or attraction. You have some level of intimacy with every person you meet. Strangers, coworkers, friends, and family. And hopefully it's a very deep relationship, a deep feeling of intimacy and closeness to a spouse or a very old friend. Commitment is the logical decision to do the work. Go fight through the struggles, make sure that you sacrifice sometimes to be into the relationship and make sure it works. And then passion is the superficial layer. It's the emotional excitement, the physical arousal. All right, what does that do with design? So I think that this translates very nicely to user experience. You're having a relationship with your user. So intimacy is the depth of the user experience. How well you understand your users, how well you design for their needs. Commitment is the usability, reliability, the usefulness. That's the fact that they can rely on your product, rely on your design. The commitment you have to their relationship. And passion is the visual appeal, the interaction layers, how it looks, how it feels. So I made my own triangle, triangular theory of UX. And it follows the same triangle that Dr. Sternberg had. So user research is how you get to the intimacy. That's how you understand your users. Do a little research. Usability is the commitment you have to that relationship, and the visual design is what drives the passion. You have all three, you have the holy grail, you have the UX, full UX experience. So again, you could have certain dysfunctional relationships with your users where maybe you have a beautiful visual design, maybe it's easy to use, but without the user research, you don't have product market fit. It's not something that people want. You didn't really design for their needs. And again, if you have usability and user research, but you lack the visual design, it's not interesting, it's not exciting. You lack the cool factor. And people might jump ship to another product that maybe looks a little bit more interesting. And if you have visual design and user research, but it's hard to use, then again, people will be frustrated. They'll move on. All right, so how do you design for love? I'm going to assume that everybody does some level of user research. They've got a beautiful UI, it looks good, and it's reliable. So let's start with a baseline of a normal relationship. Normal UX. So there are a couple components to every successful relationship. You have to be supportive. Being supportive is you're always there for me when I need you. It's being emotionally supportive, physically supportive, helping people succeed. One way to be supportive is to anticipate trouble spots. This comes up a lot with user onboarding. If you know people are going to have trouble, then try to help them be successful on their path. But on a basic level, you just help guide them along on their path, help them convert. But I think there are additional ways to hook into the three components of the relationship. So I tried onboarding a number of products, and I actually really like this one when I use it. This is one. It's a financial product, allows you to buy and sell stocks, manage your portfolio, and they do a really nice job. So aside from a nice visual interface, nice typography, grays and greens, they do something really cool here. So when you're signing up, they ask for a lot of personal information, financial information, and they anticipate what people are going to ask. Why do I need to provide my social security number? Why do I need to provide my employment information? How is my personal information handled? So they understand the issues and concerns that users are going to have. They anticipate them, and they ask and answer those questions up front before you ask them when you would want to ask them. And that shows a really deep understanding of the concerns of the users. And they have an answer that pops open, and you could actually find out even more information if you click to an external article. So they have a little summary keeping you on the page. You can get more information later. I don't know if you can see this from far away, but over here there's this wavy pattern that's kind of reminiscent of a anti-counterfeit material like you find on an identity card. Now, obviously, this is not anti-counterfeit. I'm pretty confident you could screenshot it, pop it into a presentation, and display it to hundreds of people. But it kind of alludes to the fact that they're trying to make you feel good about this, that they are secure. So that's where you put your social security. So I think they try to hit on every level. They're committed to the relationship. They're supporting you by telling you up front what your concerns would be, but how they solve for it. And then they use visual design in an interesting way to kind of make you feel on a deeper emotional level that everything is okay. Another way to be supportive is to be available to help. Unlike Flippy, who was available all the time but wasn't helpful, you could be available to help, but you don't necessarily need to be available all the time. In a healthy relationship, it's okay to have some distance to separate. So if a spouse, or partner, or friend, says, I'll be back in a few hours, or you have a job or a hobby, go out with friends, it's fine. It's okay, it's healthy to have some distance. But you should also communicate your availability. So who here has tried to use chat, either as a user to try to chat with another company or as a product who has chat on their own website? Any hands? All right. So sometimes you'll see it says, oh, chat is offline. Great, when do I come back? And maybe check a few times and forget, try to call them up. It's frustrating, it's annoying. Intercom is something that I use also almost every day to chat with my users. And they have a little feature that is super, it's like, just set your hours. And when your users come online, they say, oh, we'll be back on Monday. That's okay. It's okay to have work hours. You don't have to be there all the time. But it's reassuring to your users to know when you'll be there, when they should come back and ask for help. Next crucial component of any good, healthy relationship is chemistry. In order to get started, there's got to be some electricity, some fire. Chemistry is what drives the passion. I can't wait to see that person. So how do you build chemistry? How do you design for chemistry? You have to build desire, something familiar, but familiar is comfortable and reassuring, but new is exciting, it's interesting. Raymond Loewy, the father of industrial design in the 20th century, he designed such famous brands as the Shell logo, famous Coke bottle design, Greyhound, as well as steam locomotives and the classic 1950s cars. He had a theory of design, a philosophy of design, most advanced yet acceptable. Push the boundaries as far as you can go. Create something really cool, far out, but then tone it back so that it's acceptable. I've seen a lot of design grads coming out of school, they want to show how impressive they are, how creative, how artistic. And you give them a project, they'll design something, and it's like, this doesn't work in a production environment. It's too out there. You have to have a certain level of acceptability. It's too advanced and not acceptable. So that's the familiar but new. So push the boundaries, but then tone it back so it's still a bit familiar. Another example of familiar but new is people are attracted to partners who resemble certain qualities of their parents. Now, it's a sensationalist title, but we're not getting into the Freudian beautiful complex. But people are attracted, studies have proven, people are attracted to mates that resemble certain qualities of their parents. So men are often attracted to a partner who has qualities that resembles their mother, and women are often attracted to men or partners who resemble qualities of their fathers. A study in 2001 had participants look at a selection of over 300 photos, headshots of family members and controls, and they were able to, more often than chance, quite significant numbers of matching women with their mothers of all. So the participants were able to detect a certain level of similarity between the pairs. They matched them up, and they were quite successful. Kind of strange. But again, it's not weird, it's not creepy, it's just familiar but new. It's just what people are growing up with, it's what they see, it's a little familiar, but then they're attracted to another level of new. Another example of familiar but new are pets. I don't think this guy went to the pet shop like, I must have a dog that looks exactly like me. I think he saw this dog, but that dog looks really suave, you know? I didn't like the dog. I think this lady saw this dog, that looks like a fun dog, you know? Where's he going? This guy saw this dog loves jazz. You know? I think people are just attracted to pets who are comfortable, they have certain humanistic qualities. It's familiar, but it's new. You don't have the same humane societies for frogs or snakes than you have for cats and dogs. People are attracted to mammals who have certain humanistic qualities. Again, it's familiar, but new. Building desire, create chemistry. MadMe is an email marketing platform, and it was sold to GoDaddy for $36 million. And Gary Levitt, the CEO, founder, said he tries to make his customers tingle with excitement. He really tries to build chemistry and passion, the relationship between them. I asked him how. So he gave me an example, a story, which he said this is the way they treat all their customers. Listen to this. So he said, someone once emailed him and said, I love your product. I use it to create my newsletters all the time, but I just wish you had more design templates to choose from. So Gary's brother, Dean, co-founder, before he responded, most people would respond and say, hey, we're launching some new templates and check back soon if you think you'd like it. He went a few extra steps. He went to his engineering team. He said, hey, please push some of those new design templates to this woman's account right away. All right, that's one. Then he went and checked out her account himself and saw that she linked Twitter. So he checked out her Twitter profile and saw that she recently released a new album. She was a musician. He wasn't done yet. He went to her website and started listening to the music. Only then did he actually write back. How many companies would go to that level of connection with their customers? He wrote back, he said, wow, thank you so much for using MadMe. We really appreciate your business. Want to let you know that we added some new templates to your account. We think you'll like it. By the way, we saw you released a new album recently, and we listened to it in the office, and we think it's really great. Please let us know next time you release some more music. Who wouldn't love a response like that from a founder of a company? That's amazing. You feel so appreciated, so excited. She'll probably use it forever. And it actually touches on the next component. Every successful relationship has to have gratitude. Gratitude is I'm so lucky I'm here. It's not just me. It's much deeper than that. Dr. Sarah Alco has done a lot of studies about gratitude in relationships. And in one study with couples who said that they were successfully engaged, married, whatever it is, they were in a successful relationship. One study, she said that partners who expressed gratitude to each other for 2 weeks, every day for 2 weeks, they felt closer, satisfied, and indebted. Remember our triangle. Closer is intimacy. Satisfied is passion. They felt like they got something out of it. And then indebted is the commitment. They felt they received something and they want to give back to that. That's all three components. So gratitude, great way to hit on all three components of the relationship. Gratitude is when you recognize the whole person. It's not just a superficial thing. It's not just thank you for taking out the garbage. It's thank you for recognizing I hate taking out the garbage and taking it out so I don't have to. It's a much bigger view of the relationship and the person. And that recognizing that brings you closer. So how do you design for gratitude? Well, let's talk about how you design so a user feels gratitude. Because if they feel indebted to you, they'll stick with you. So it's easy, actually. Just exceed their expectations. Now, it's actually easier for UX than for marriage. Because if you've done your homework and you have a product that's in the marketplace, you know what your users want. You know what your customers need. So design for the full picture, but then raise the bar. Go above and beyond and exceed their expectations. And they'll feel indebted and they will appreciate you for it. Like that did with the way they respond to customer support requests. Well, love is a two-way street. How do you show gratitude? I think it's important that companies in their UI show gratitude. When someone is generous with their time, with their finances, when they trust you with their private information, you have to say thank you. You have to appreciate that. It's not just like something you deserve. You don't deserve their usage. So I decided to go and sign up for a bunch of things. Put my email in all over the web. I wanted to see how people design their thank you cards. Now these people, download request successful. Even robots are like, it's a little impersonal, don't you think? I mean, it's really, it could have done better. I gave them my information, they're gonna spam me every day now. And that's all I got. That's all I got. One stood out. One company stood out, and they are known for their user experience. They're known for their customer support. The CEO actually wrote a book on it. Zappos. So I submitted my email address. Most companies are like, thank you, success, whatever it is. Zappos, I don't know if you know, I don't know if they have them here in Israel, but they're an online shoe store. They're the first people to do free shipping and free returns. When they first launched, I bought 15 pairs of shoes, and I returned 14 pairs of shoes. I love it. I hate shopping. This was like amazing. I have to try them all on, and I sent it back, no problem. I still use them today. I submitted my email address, and I don't know if you could read that, but it says, wow, you must really like us, thanks. So they appreciate it, and they recognize that you took a little bit of a leap there. Then they go a little further. Brace yourself. You're about to experience our weekly shameless plug, our fun and informative weekly newsletter. You know what that means? And then I tell you what's going to be in that newsletter. Styles and brands, new products. So if they're setting the expectations on what you're going to get, that's going back to being supportive. And then they're letting you know the content of that email. So if they're setting their expectations, they're giving you something that's meaningful, they're communicating, and they're showing their appreciation. Another example, I signed up for something called TransferWise. It allows you to send money overseas and convert to different currencies. It's cheaper and faster than banks. So after signing up, they asked, how did you find out about TransferWise? And they say thank you, but they kind of take it a different tilt than Zappos. Zappos is kind of an effusive thank you. They said thank you. The more people that join the revolution, the faster and better the service will be. Save your friends from hidden banking charges by inviting them to join TransferWise. So they're saying thank you, but then they're also pulling you in. They're saying, like, we're part of something. They're making you feel like you're part of a group, part of a revolution. And they want you to help out your friends. We've discussed the ingredients and how to hit all three components of a healthy, loving relationship. Is it possible to create love when you don't have all these pieces? I think that's yes. It happens quite frequently. I think that's what parenting is. Anyone here have kids? Raise your hand. All right. Yeah. I've got 4 kids. I love them. I don't always like them. I think people who don't have kids wonder, why do people even bother? They're complaining about their kids all the time. I don't like when parents complain about their kids. I don't think it's nice. It's not good. But I understand when parents do complain because there's a lot of frustration. They're not always nice. They don't listen to you. They make a mess. They're expensive. They're always asking for things like That's parenting. You don't have all 3 components. I had a story for you. This is called triple paste. All right, it's a very thick cream. It's actually a paste. It's very greasy. It has petroleum jelly, beeswax, and even has cholesterol. It's like a really thick grease. Now, what you do with it is you wipe it on your baby's tushy so they don't get a rash. I'm probably the first person to stand on the stage and talk about tissue rashes. Bear with me for a moment. So my wife and I bought a house, and we moved in. My son was about 2 at the time. And we were always fixing it up, painting and stripping wallpaper. One morning, my wife and I open our bedroom door. We wake up in the morning. My son had decided to paint with triple paste. He smeared about 2.5 feet up, like about a meter, all along the wall, the entire hallway, the doors, the doorknobs. Smeared it into the carpet. This is a half-kilo tub here. We had to scrape and sand down the walls, prime and then repaint, and the carpet was gone. We had to rip it up, put it in new floor. I did not like my son that day at all. It was an expensive day. So why do parents love their kids so much? Evolutionary biology and all that stuff. But I think there's a simple UX explanation for it. I think that it's the hook model. If anyone here has read this book, great book, I'm going to summarize the entire book in a sentence. The hook model is a way where you get someone to invest into a process. They get a little bit of a reward out of it. Then you kind of tug them back in. They invest even deeper, and then they get even more rewards. I think that's what parenting is all about. Parents invest so much into their kids. They invest their time, their energy, they invest money. When you see your kid do something beautiful, it melts your heart. when I see my son, when my son says "thank you" for the first time, or it's such a little gratitude, like, oh, thank you, I love you. When he helps out his sibling, when he's nice to a stranger, when he picks up his toy, when he takes his first steps, it's a reward, and you see them growing into a beautiful human being, and you just want to give them even more. It's the hook model plus passion. So you can lack all of the components. You don't like them, they don't listen to you. Sometimes they're not mine, but other people's. And that's the hook model. You see them grow, and it's rewarding. I did this once by accident in a project. This was about 6 years ago, but it was noteworthy because it was such a weird experience. This was for a corporate training program. I was hired to design an app where a company could allow their employees to do corporate training. And now most corporate training programs, you have to read something and then take a quiz to show that you know it, or you watch something and take a quiz to demonstrate you know it. This was a little different. There was a series of activities that you had to perform, and you earned badges when you completed activities and certificates. Now, they would show that they knew something by uploading an image or a document, taking a video or a recording. And then they would submit it to a manager to be reviewed, and then they would proceed to completing their work. We designed this totally from the employee's perspective. They had to learn. They had to make sure they understood the material. And then we launched the pilot program, and we had just the most rudimentary, basic UI for the managers to review and accept work and watch progress of their employees. Now, we launched it. Employees were using it, but who's going to love doing work? So employees were like, okay, it works, but they didn't love it. The people who loved it were the managers. They were raving about it. They were pushing us to roll it out for the whole company. What happened there is, even though they had poor usable UI, we had no UX whatsoever. We didn't do any research for the managers. We gave them the most basic UI. When they were in there and they saw their employees being successful, when they saw their employees completing the work and advancing and growing, they were like ecstatic. This was amazing. They got proud of their own employees and of their team. So I think we were able to. We then went back and we fixed their whole UI to make sure that it was nice even from their perspective. But it was interesting that they loved it, even though we lacked every single component of a good user experience, just because they were proud of their employees. So, I don't know, guys. You up for this? I thought it'd be funny to get everyone to stand up and stare into each other's eyes for 4 minutes. I have the audience, but I think we're actually out of time. So, thank you all for listening. Big love, not bad UX.